What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Trippe. Welcome to a very special edition of Real Estate Investing Live. I want to kind of read some news to you guys and get some instant reaction from some industry experts. PropStream, what we know of as the CRM, as the data collection, SaaS company, software as a service company that a lot of you guys either use or have used in the past, just sold to Stewart Title for $175 million. You're going to get instant reaction from Trang of Real Estate Disruptors, Damon Remy, who also owns, founder and owns REI Black Book, also a SaaS company. We're going to get his instant reaction, and Trey Cummings, who runs a private equity firm in Birmingham, Alabama, who does hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses that they use data every day. We're going to get instant reaction from these guys. So here we go, guys. Stewart announces agreement for the acquisition of PropStream. Stewart Information Services Corporation today announced its entry into an agreement to acquire PropStream, a leader in residential real estate data and analytics for investors, realtors, and real estate agents, brokers, and lenders. Since its founding more than 15 years ago, PropStream has been an innovator in aggregating the standardizing property data and delivering value-added solutions to its customers through a single digital point of access. Guys, as we scroll down here, it says the purchase price is $175 million, and it will be funded with available company resources. The company expects to close the transaction on Monday, which is November 15th, which just happened a few days ago. The transaction is immediately accretive. Guys, the impact that this has on the real estate industry and specifically on you, we're going to get instant reaction right now from industry experts Trang, Damon Remy, and Trey Cummings right now.
Yeah. Damon, really, I want to kind of start with you because I feel like this kind of impacts your industry. You know, you're in the SaaS business with REI Black Book. You correct me if I'm wrong or help me understand. PropStream is a lot more data driven, or are you as well? Like make the correlation or separate the differences there.
Rich Dad used to, like, you would get both PropStream and REI Black Book with your subscription. Like if you sign up for coaching. So both of those softwares were included in your package, right? So they were always heavily focused on the data side. It was probably about 5 to 7 years ago, they really started trying to do landing pages and a little bit of CRM stuff. They've not done that very well at all. But they went in hard, man, with partners. I mean, that's really was the name of their games, the affiliate model. Mm-hmm. That's really what they did. And they did that very well, man. I mean, so yeah, they're super data focused, man. Super focused on data.
And you guys are not. REI Black Book is not as focused on data.
No, we're not as focused on data, man. I mean, we're really the automation piece, right? So how do we automate your systems, all the way from contact management to, phone systems to websites to, how do we help you with the actual transaction? So we're what we call a lead conversion platform. Gotcha. Right? So once you got the lead, we're going to help you convert that, right? But you got to go, so I do have a separate company called Profit Drive, and that we will focus on the data and direct mail and driving for dollars and things of that nature, for sure. Yeah. So,
and just Damon, your just initial reaction when you saw that come down, it was announced about a week ago and really just kind of, I guess now closed, your initial reaction.
I mean, like, honestly, man, not surprised. I've been, where I think in the last probably 3 to 6 months, Ross sold and now you got PropStream selling. And so now everybody's like freaking paying attention. Right? Because it's really big freaking money. But this is the world I've been living in for 10 years, man. So I know what I'm doing and I know why I'm doing it. And I know the opportunities are there. So for me, it wasn't really like, oh my gosh, PropStream sold. I mean, it was like, okay. I mean, they did what we all are working towards as software guys.
Yeah.
So
Dan, if I can jump in and ask a question, so I'm curious. At 175 million, what are you thinking that multiple is on their revenue, or how is that probably being calculated?
Yeah, so it's I would bet that it's probably so in the SaaS world, man. I mean, you're really going to look at a multiple of your recurring revenue, right? So it's way different than most other businesses where you're looking at a multiple of EBITDA or things like that. So I'm gonna guesstimate that it's probably between a 7 to 10 multiple of their recurring revenue. So I bet they're probably 20 to 30 million in recurring subscription revenue would be my guesstimate. I think, and so that multiple, there's a few things that go into that, like Ross. I mean, I know quite a bit about Ross's deal.
Ross's deal, just real quick, just because we're going to be broadcasting this out to connected investors.
Connected investors. And I think there's some variables in there where I think he took a lot of cash. And so I don't know that the multiple is as high as it probably could have been, based on him taking a lot of cash up front and not necessarily equity, and things of that nature in the combined efforts. So yeah, I mean, I would guesstimate probably 20 to 30 million in subscription revenue, and probably a 7 to 10 multiple somewhere in there for sure.
Steve, I want to bring Steve Trang in here. Steve, thankful for you to join us today. I would love for you. I just watched you kind of put a comment, obviously tongue in cheek, is I'm in the wrong business. I shouldn't have been in the real estate business all along. I should have been in the SaaS. Are you seeing right now with real estate influencers and coaches to where it's always been kind of quipped that it's, you get into real estate, then you start coaching, and then all of a sudden you start with a SaaS business. You start some kind of software business. I know that's always been kind of tongue in cheek for people to say that, but so many folks have done that. Is it something that you are really paying a lot of attention to right now? Seriously? Or is it more of a joke?
Well, it's something that I tried, right? I mean, we started OfferFast 4 years ago. It has not taken off, right? But that was the logic behind it, right? We saw that, hey, if we were able to create an MLS for investors, then this is something that should be a viable product, right? You got the tools and people paying $39 a month. Like, you don't really need a lot of people paying $39 a month for it to add up really fast. To get to a point where, you're doing $1 million a year, 10 million a year, and you sell at a multiple. I mean, that was definitely the vision, right? When we started OfferFast. Now, unfortunately, it's not taking off. So that's a whole nother story, right? As far as management and execution. But definitely, I think that's something that, for me, that was my idea. I am not aware, maybe I'm just kind of naive of the, you do some deals and then you do coaching and then you do a SaaS. I'm aware of someone doing one deal and becoming a coach, right? Becoming an expert. I'm aware of that model. But the part about being an influencer and then creating a product, I was not as enlightened to that model. But I mean, obviously, whoever was enlightened to it, it's made a lot of sense.
Yeah. So Brian, are you going to release this, man, or is this just us talking? Like,
it's coming out today. Yeah, I'm gonna release this later today.
All right. So I'll temper my answer then a little bit. But I mean, the truth of it is this, man. Like, honestly, you want to know my straight up answer? Like, when you're like, hey, what did you think of whenever you saw the offer? PropStream sold and Connected Investors sold and everything else. My straight up answer is this: like, legitimately, like, now every freaking coach in their freaking is going to be like, oh, I got to go start a software damn company. And it's no different than the guy doing one fucking deal and becoming a coach. And now you got coaches trying to be freaking software guys, and they're not. It's not their freaking world. It's not their expertise. And now you got a bunch of people freaking throwing out shit products, and it junks up the freaking market, dude. Like, that's straight up my answer. Dude.
And I think, Damon, you're completely spot on, because I was thinking about this morning. Like, yeah, this is cool and it's awesome for PropStream. I don't know them, right? But I know other people that have software companies, and I reached out to them last night. I was like, hey, this is a great comp for you guys. So, congratulations. I know that you guys haven't realized your gains yet, but this is freaking awesome for you guys, right? Now, everyone else that's thinking about, I'm going to start an app today, boy, that ship has sailed. I mean, this has to be years in the making. I think Ross started in like 2007, 2006, right, with Connected Investors. PropStream has been around, I don't know how many years, but a long, long time. So yeah, I mean, anyone that's thinking like, I'm going to create an app or software and I'm going to go sell it for this or that, like, No, like you had to plant this seed many years ago.
But what about this though, Steve? What about and Damon and then Trey as well? What about this though? And I saw Matt Andrews post yesterday that he's been investing in software companies. So not necessarily startups, but like already investing in. Is this something that maybe we should be thinking about or looking at, is investing in some of these SaaS companies that you think are going to have big exits?
I don't think it's a bad idea. That's an option.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I mean, to Steve's point, man. I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years. I mean, we launched October 1st, 2009, and honestly, the term SaaS, software as a service, all that stuff, like it didn't even exist, man. I mean, I didn't even know about this world, right? I mean, hindsight being 2020, it's like, holy crap, we got. I guess lucky. I mean, we kind of stumbled into this space that I really do love. And it's super enjoyable and just so happens to be really, really profitable. But I think the mistake is going to be, quite frankly, is a lot of folks are going to like now see these big multiples and everything else. They're start understanding the financial model, and everybody's going to jump into the software world and or try. And it's just different. It's no, like for me, whenever I think about it, it's like the guy that goes out and does a couple of deals and now he wants to be a coach, real estate coach and teach other people how to do it. It's just like look, man, we all know that model's broke. But I think investing in companies that have been doing it for a while and or are, in position to take exits. Okay, cool. Like, I think that certainly makes sense.
If you look at William Shatner, right? I mean, if you look at where his wealth came from, Priceline? It came from being Priceline's guy, being the face of Priceline, right? It did not come from him coming up with, guys, we need to come up with a way to arbitrage hotel rooms, right? He was not that genius. He was an influencer who decided to get compensation through equity versus, being paid a wage or, a contract fee, right? So I think, if there were some influencers that want to go down that route, I think it would make sense. The question is, how does an influencer get to themselves in that position, and how do they justify their value? Because, I've been approached, and the conversations I've had with them, they're like, Steve, we can do this without you, right? It's like, yes, I know that. So,
Trey,
Brian, I think it's, yeah.
No, I want to bring you in and ask you this, because I know you're more on the finance side, and you're running a big private equity firm here in Birmingham, and just I want to talk about who acquired PropStream, Stewart Title. Mm-hmm. Why would a title company? Why does this make sense for them to do this and at this time?
I think a couple of reasons on that. I think one, Stewart Title is a public company, $2 billion in market cap. They're looking for ways. How are they going to grow? How are they going to get, ahead of the curve as well? And how are they going to get into that grouping? As you get kind of bigger, you get more established as Stewart Title is. I mean, how do you stay on the forefront of innovation? And, a lot of times you have to go outside of the company to find that innovation. And I think that's a lot of what they did with PropStream. But, and they've got to do a lot of things right now. I mean, I think when you look at, whether it be, and I kind of think of Stewart Title, I know they do a lot of things. I always think of them more on the title side than anything else. But, there's going to be a lot of innovation, hopefully, coming out, whether it be with appraisals, whether it be with title, with, use of blockchain and other things that, a lot of these like kind of, bottlenecks to the transaction process. And I'm hoping that, by investing in something like this, they're kind of looking further into the innovation and seeing what's out there. But kind of going back to, you talk about the SaaS model and everything else. And of course, in Birmingham, we actually have a lot of SaaS companies, out of our innovation depot where a lot of entrepreneurs are. And, we had a huge exit last year with Therapy Brands that was picked up by KKR, which is a huge Wall Street firm for over $1 billion, which was probably one of the largest exits in Birmingham. And there are a lot of companies like that. And I do think that, as far as investing in firms, but I will tell you this, kind of the warning would be that a lot of these companies don't start out making, X dollars and, then go on to those multiples. I mean, it takes a lot of, sometimes years of losses that pile up, and you really have to be, on the forefront, ready to take those losses before you're able to take that exit. And then most of the companies that you look at, they're doing the multiple mostly off of what's coming in on the revenue. A lot of these companies actually are running at a loss, but the multiples and where they're cashing out is actually on a revenue multiple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what the way the SaaS model works, period, man, is like, to Trey's point there, man. I mean, you really can be running at a loss. I've been very fortunate that we've not been in that space for a long time, but it really is a multiple of your revenue, man. It's not EBITDA. It's not, it's not, these traditional models, SD&E, it's not that, man. I mean, it is different. Whenever you look at an Instagram that sold, for $1 billion, right? You had 19 employees, sold for $1 billion. They weren't making money, right? Mm-hmm. So why would a company come in and acquire that? I mean, at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're buying market share and eyeballs, right? So for Stewart Title, I mean, they're no dummies, man. I mean, at the end of the day, PropStream is they've got thousands of subscribers, right? They're probably doing 20, 30 million a year, probably revenue wise. And so why would you go in and pay $175 million for that, right? At the end of the day, dude, you're buying transactions. Like that's really what they're buying. And if you run the model, and I mean, if I turn my computer over here and showed you my whiteboard, you would see that there's actually a shit ton more money in the transaction business for title and lending and all of those other things that they're doing than in the subscription model, right? And so that's really what they're doing. They're buying the market share, and they know that, hey, look, we got PropStream here, and those guys have a ton of data, but they got subscribers. There's reasons that those people are subscribing and paying for the data. It's because they're doing deals and they're doing transactions, and there's a lot of money in that transactional side for sure.
Steve, or whoever wants to tackle this, what is next? To Trey's point a second ago, what's next? What's the future when you start talking about how everything is so data driven? You're talking about Facebook going to now Meta, and it's all about data. Everything's about data today. Where's the future? Where are we headed, Steve?
So I made a bold statement I want to say like 3 days ago in a realtor Facebook group. Because there was some arguments, like National Association of Realtors just had a big meeting in San Diego, and they were saying, like, here's how we're going to regulate the MLSs across the country, and like one set of rules for all the MLSs. And there was a big article that was written, like, does MLS need NAR, blah, 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 right? And my comment to that post was, you guys are looking at this all wrong. Like, in 3 years, there will be no MLS. I firmly believe that MLSs will be gone. I'm not saying the realtor community will be gone, right? I think the realtor will be repurposed. I think there's going to come a day where I think Zillow tried it before they got distracted with the iBuyer service. Well, there's just going to come a day with data is so prevalent that a homeowner says, I want to sell my house. They push a button, and now everyone knows that the house is available for sale, right? And with all the data, how many bedrooms, baths, square feet, right? All that data is there. You don't need to go and pull that information, right? So I think with all the prevalence of data, I think eventually there's going to be a potential service is like a nationwide MLS where PropStream has most of it, and all these other companies. I mean, I look at Batch, right? I talked to Jesse and Eva last night. Like, they have all the data across the country. I don't think we're that far away from that. Now, that service doesn't exist today. That was what OfferFast was supposed to be. But
I think that's a great point. And I mean, I think if you look already that the MLS, it's kind of like there's a, online, they try to, or the realtors try to come out with realtor.com, versus Zillow. Well, Zillow has completely kicked their ass on that. They're way behind, and part of that is it goes back to, the company that's trying to, just stay up, to date with everything versus a Zillow or whatever that's willing to lose a lot of money for several years developing that product and creating that market share that realtor.com was just not willing to do. But as you say, Zillow did get distracted. They tried to get into hard assets. If they would try to stay into the soft assets or the soft, transactional type data, then yes, they could be the broker of, just the electronic broker of choice. And like you said, you could just sit there and press a button that the house is for sale. You would probably have a ton of people that would come in and buy that house, take a fee in between, and they would have hardly anything at risk, unlike what they did with buying the hard assets.
Guys, is there anything else? Any other kind of strong feelings? Any strong? I want to respect everybody's time. Any other strong reactions? Anybody has one last thing to say before we wrap this up? I want to keep it to 15 minutes or so.
I'm just really happy. I mean, again, I don't know the owners of PropStream. I'm just really happy for them. I think that's cool, right? Because like that's what we all dream of when we get into our vision, our purpose. Like, here's what I'm going to do, and one day this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. They did it, man. Hats off to them. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think everybody in the real estate industry right now is going to see, some kind of pop. I think these type of deals are just on the forefront right now.
Yeah, this is not the end. We're going to see a lot more of this here very, very soon.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the the single family home space, the transactional space, and everything. I mean, you've just had, Wall Street has recently just put in about $300 billion that's identified into transactions that where they're buying up, whether it be builders. Whoever. So right now, this is the space that everybody wants to be in.
Yeah. So I get hit up probably 2 to 3 times a month. Random email comes in from, or a text message or whatever, random message comes in from, these acquisition companies that look to do these roll ups and stuff like that. So there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to start seeing a lot more of this, especially now that you've had a couple of players take some pretty big exits. And so you're definitely going to see more of it. The thing I would just encourage everybody to do is just to really get clear on your personal vision, and don't get too excited to start trying to pivot and become a software guy tomorrow. Like, if you're buying and selling houses, man, and you got a good portfolio and that's your gig, stay in that lane, man. Like, I tell people all the time, man, I'm a software guy. So, right. Like, I mean, I don't, honestly, I'm not scared of the competition or anything else. I mean, been doing this a long time, but, I tell people all the time, it's like, hey, look, man, I'm not a freaking real estate guy. I can't go rehab a house. That's not my space. That's not my expertise. It's not my passion. Software is, right. And it is different. And I see so many real estate guys going and trying to build software and trying to solve problems that quite frankly are already solved. And they just try to put a little bit different skin on it. And that's not what's going to make the difference. It's really not. I mean, you got to, so that's my 2 cents.
I think that's your caution, and I think it's wise, and I think nobody's gonna listen to it.
I agree with you, Steve. 100%. 100%. I mean,
well, and I will tell you, as far as software companies or any companies in general, I've got a business partner who has invested in several software companies and several startups, and one of his criteria now is, how is this going to change the world, or how is this going to change anything? And if it's not going to change, kind of the world or not solve a major problem, then he's not going to invest in it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to find a problem that, like you said, has not been solved yet. But how is this really going to change the status quo?
Yeah. How do you differentiate yourself in today's market, man? I mean, that's going to be the really important piece, because truth be told, it's super easy to go build software today, right? I mean, I could go hire and spin up a development team. Hell, I don't even have to build a development team. I can go hire somebody in India today, for a few bucks an hour and build software really quick, right? But it's not just the software. It's still culture. It's still support. It's still, how do you sell it, right? The best product doesn't always win, right? You still got to have the sales, the marketing. I mean, there's so many things to it. And hats off to PropStream, man. I mean, they did a phenomenal job, and they really penetrated the market. Not one real estate investor that I know of doesn't know who PropStream is, right? So, but yeah, Brian, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
thanks,
Trey Cummings, Damon Remy, Steve Trang, I appreciate you guys so much for jumping on this impromptu little kind of get together and discussion on PropStream selling for $175 million to Stewart Title. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to see you on the next one, guys.